Father Time himself would have been smiling down on the town of Singleton today. Not every shire can boast a world first, but given the official nod by the Guinness Book of Records, the dial will now feature as the biggest in the next publication. Amid a musical fanfare by the marching koalas, hundreds of school children in the Singleton Shire had a quick lesson in the history of time. The dial is set atop Rosepoint Park, and it's a gift from CSR Leamington Mine at almost $90,000. The old timepiece is set to boost tourism, and it's part of a $450,000 beautification project for Singleton's bicentennial celebrations.
And right behind that sundial is our main bicentenary project. That is the beautification of the riverbanks along the Hunter River itself, some 2 kilometres in length. Expenditure of $450,000. And I might add that none of that funds, of course, is coming from the local Singleton Shire. It's been contributed by state government and by the local service clubs and various other organisations here in Singleton.
So next time you're journeying through Singleton, why not take a few minutes to watch the hours pass by?
About 11 years ago, Luskin Star. You won the Golden Slipper with him. He was the pride of New South Wales, in fact Australian racing. And then he was sold and you lost him. It must have been hard to take that.
Yeah, well that's right, Lee. You know, it's a disappointment, you know, when you lose a horse like that, and I suppose it's the same for Sally. You know, she's just lost this horse, and I really didn't want the horse to go from her, but if I hadn't taken the horse was going to go to Sydney, so I might as well have it as someone else in Sydney would have got it. So.
Exactly. That's racing too though, isn't it?
That's right, it happens everywhere, you know, it just, they change about, and
sure.
I suppose the horse is going to do his future racing here or in Melbourne, so if he goes back to Melbourne he probably might go to someone over there, I don't know.
Sure, but at this stage of the game his future's in Sydney, so he settled so well in your stables over here, I guess that was the confirmation of why they left him in Newcastle.
Yeah, that's right, you know, he's settled in good here, and it's a good training track and everything, so I'm just hoping that he can qualify for the slipper.
You'd have to be pleased with looking at his run here the other day. I know he was beaten 2 lengths by Marauding, carried 6 kilos more, and they say he raced a little bit hard at the start.
Yeah, well, he raced fierce early in the race because he was very fresh. He'd only had the one gallop. He came here on the Wednesday and we galloped him on Saturday morning. It was the only gallop he had, and she couldn't work him much up there for the rain. And I think he'll improve a fair bit on his run the other day, and he, as you say, he gave the other horse 6 kilos, so it was quite a good run, really.
Is this bloke as good as Luskin Star?
Lee, I don't think I've ever seen a horse as good as Luskin Star.
The Lord Mayor John McNaughton cut the ribbon to officially open the Newcastle Community Playgroup. The City Council made available the old Henry Park Scout Hall after intense lobbying from parents. Parents provided all the toys and facilities and will finance the continuing operation of the centre. The playgroup was previously held in a technical college cottage in Tice Hill. It was closed 14 months ago. President of the lobby group Jan Walsh says parents have since fought hard to find alternative premises.
Well, the playgroup had been already running for 9 years at the Tech before the Minister for Education closed it, and we felt it was such a valuable contribution to our children's and our lives as a good stepping stone before they went to school or preschool, that we were determined to fight to save it. 400 children had been attending the playgroup each week, and it was the largest in New South Wales, and so we were determined to fight to find new premises to maintain it.
Now in Henry Park, Hamilton South, the playgroup caters for 300 children, operating 5 days a week, morning and afternoon. A playgroup differs from a kindergarten or preschool in that one parent must attend the group with their child. This provides an avenue for children and parents to learn how to play together in a constructive and meaningful way. Jan Walsh says they're happy to welcome new families.
Anybody with any children from the age of 0 to 5 are willing, we're happy to have them come to the playgroup. We still have some vacancies, and we feel it's the best equipped and most valuable playgroup in the Hunter region.
Brief details of the festival were released today by the chairman of the New South Wales Bicentennial Council and Secretary of the Premier's Department, Jerry Gleeson, as he was addressing the Newcastle Businessmen's Club. Mr Gleeson says the council would provide almost $500,000 to fund the 10-day festival. He said he's also very impressed with the progress of the region's bicentennial projects, such as the Newcastle Harbour Foreshore, the Wetlands Centre at Shortland, and the Regional Museum.
The overall message is that this is a year of great opportunity for Australians, for all Australians. It's the greatest public event and series of public events that this country has seen. That means that no citizen will have before, or probably not into the next celebration, see a series of public events like this one. And it's an opportunity for all Australians to take stock of the country, their part in the country, what contribution they can make to our country. It's a time for us to take greater pride in being Australians.
Hello, I'm Karen Lemming. The Hunter Drug Advisory Service here at Hamilton has experienced a large increase in the number of women seeking advice on minor tranquilisers. Counsellors say that while more women are using tranquilisers, a greater number of women are now asking questions about the drugs prescribed for them by doctors.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
The bomb blast in the British military base in West Germany signals a dangerous turn in the IRA's ceaseless battle against the British. What worries military authorities is that the terrorists were able to drive the booby-trapped car right into the base and park it near an officers' mess, where it exploded just as a group of more than 100 people were sitting down to dinner. Amazingly, no one was killed or even seriously injured. Now, security is being tightened at all British bases abroad. The last time the IRA took their war to Europe in the late 70s, they exploded 11 bombs around West Germany and Belgium and killed several British soldiers. The IRA were busy on home ground as well, in Londonderry, Northern Ireland. They used the murder of one man to lure another two to their deaths. First, they grabbed an innocent man and shot him. Then they booby-trapped his car with explosives. The two police called to investigate, opened the car door, and the bomb went off, killing them both instantly.
It was the issue of whether Luke Clement Wickens sexually assaulted the 2-year-old Charlestown girl on December 23 last year, which took up much of today's hearing. A statement tendered to the court by Detective Jeff Hodson claims that Wickens said, "I didn't rape the child. I do all these crazy things when I drink, but I wouldn't rape a child. I wouldn't do it." In summing up before committing Wickens for trial, Magistrate Kel Clark said he found it difficult to believe that the defendant was as badly affected by alcohol as he had claimed. He had managed to open a paint-jammed window without arousing the householders and had stolen a motor vehicle. He then committed Wickens for trial on 6 charges, including sexual assault. The matter will go before the Supreme Court on April 27. Bail was refused.
More than 80 members of the Farmers Association, formerly the Livestock and Grain Producers Association, attended today's Region 7 convention. Region 7 takes in the Hunter Valley and Central Coast and is bounded by Mittagong in the Southern Highlands, Mary War, Mudgee, Taree, Newcastle and Sydney. Speakers included members of the association's executive, industry representatives and officers from the Department of Agriculture. Association President Michael Tooth predicts 1987 will be a year of further change for the rural sector, particularly in on-farm costs.
There's no doubt the two major things that are impacting on all farmers throughout the state are interest rates and the high costs of inputs. It is ridiculous for Australian farmers, who are the most efficient and productive in the world, to have to compete paying taxes on their inputs and then trying to compete with other farmers throughout the world who are being subsidised on their outputs. Farmers in America have had a reduction in their three major input items: fuel, interest rates and fertiliser. Our three items, those three items in Australia have risen dramatically in the last 18 months. The cost of interest, the cost of fertiliser and the cost of fuel. You know, we've got to get rid of this domestic high-cost tax on inputs, and then we can compete very, very efficiently, I can assure you.
And what sort of role will the New South Wales Farmers Association play in affecting that change?
First of all, it's exclusively trying to improve the climate and the environment in which he operates. But more importantly, we have to have an influence on the whole of the macro economy, because we don't want to be excluded or just part or a small part of the economy. We're a very vibrant part of it. And we have more than ever before, Australian agriculture is going to be needed more, as I say, than ever before, because we've got to get out of this nasty mess we're in, losing $2 million or $1 million an hour, and that's what we're going into debt at the rate. So it's up to us, because we're responsible for the greatest export earnings out of this nation, and we are a small minority that are not going to benefit from changes of government policy, but we can have an influence on the debate, and I believe that's what the farm organisations have done in the past. We've got the debate raised so that people start to understand now and recognise that there is a change, and that some of those changes are going to be hard on some people.
Designers were asked to submit plans for the Heritage Mall. Their brief was to pick up on the historical nature of High Street, and they are encouraged to liaise with local historian Dr. John Turner. Maitland City planners say they're pleased with the three designs, but they emphasise that this exercise is to choose a designer rather than a particular design. Now on display in the supper room of the Town Hall, the work of Newcastle firm suitors Bustede Corner Clode and Sydney firms Noel Bell, Ridley Smith and Cox and Corkhill are available for public viewing. Conservation of the existing buildings was a major factor in each design. The mall is to stretch from Burke to Elgin streets, and it's meant to be functional and attractive to both shoppers and tourists. The council has also commissioned a conservation architect to show every shopfront in High Street as it is now and how it was originally. Council will encourage all property owners in the street to restore the facade of their building to its original appearance. To do this, they request anyone with old photos of the area to come forward. Town planner David Evans sums up what the council is trying to achieve.
We're trying basically to emphasise the central business district of Maitland as one, a major shopping centre within the region, but secondly, a major centre of heritage and heritage-based tourism within the Hunter.
According to the drug offensive team, binge drinking among Australian youth is a growing concern and rates as a major drug problem for that age group. It's not so much the social appeal of pub or party drinking that the campaign condemns, rather the risk of drinking too much alcohol. Young people are being urged to stay in control, and the campaign target pushes the idea that you don't have to get drunk to have a bit of fun. State Coordinator of the Drug Offensive, Tom Carroll, says it's time binge drinking was put under the spotlight because of the dangers it can cause to health, as well as forming destructive patterns for later life.
We're finding also that getting drunk regularly at this sort of early stage is establishing a pattern that will possibly last much longer. But certainly the risk not only for accidents and other sorts of dangerous situations that people find in when they are intoxicated, it also puts themselves into difficult interpersonal situations that they often have difficulty dealing with.
We couldn't play on Pass Moreover, which is North's home ground, so the alternative appeared to be, the best alternative was to bring it here to Danga Park, which has no fencing, and throw it open to the general public, rugby league fans and sports fans generally.
Talking to the old timers, Mo Wilson told me that he thought 1927 was the last time that league competition matches were played here.
So we believe. We can't find any record of that having occurred since that time, so it'll be quite a buzz for the Mayfield East community and rugby union fans who generally patronise this ground, and as we said, sports fans in general should have a great day.
You've not got only football on though, Lindsay, here. You've got plenty of activities as well for the kids.
Trying to make it a big family day, Lee, with we've got jumping castles and a Scottish band and Shetland pony rides and an aeroplane fly past and giveaways for the kids, and that's so it should be, weather permitting, a really enjoyable day, yes.
Sunday, Danga Park Mayfield comes alive.
Brian Gilligan has been instrumental in the transformation of the Shortland site back into the natural wetland it once was. The filling which created the Marist Park rugby ground has been removed, the water put back, and the birds have returned. It's almost as if it always was. People are welcome too, in fact they're even encouraged, and they'll be even more aware now with the University Convocation's recognition.
The Newton-John Award is given by the Convocation of the University each year. That's the graduate body of some 11,000 members, to one of our number, one of our graduates from Newcastle University, who has been responsible for an achievement that is of high originality and of lasting benefit to the community and of great aesthetic value.
Well, Brian Gilligan, what does it feel like to have that sort of thing said about what you have here?
It feels really great, thanks Ray. Really great because my beginnings at the university were very, very tentative indeed back in 1965. I think of those first tentative steps I took through Newcastle University portals over at Tighes Hill, and to think that we've come through an ongoing relationship with the university that culminates in this is very, very gratifying indeed.
This year's Custom Car and Van Show is the biggest yet. 54 entries from all over the state represent a combined value of more than $1 million. It's a world all of its own, where the language is custom speak. It doesn't take long to realise that the maxim of the owners must be, when in doubt, chrome it. Anything that can conceivably shine does. Enormous amounts of money are spent in an attempt to capture that elusive title of the ultimate in custom cars. The metal panels in this FJ Holden are nothing less than gold-plated, and the owner of this van has spent $50,000 to create his dream machine. If you think the costs and chrome of the rest are out of your reach, perhaps you should look at something a little less imposing. This is the smallest Bedford van in the world. The display, on at the Macquarie Fair, is open all weekend until midnight tonight. Proceeds from the event will aid the oncology unit at Mater Hospital.
As in previous years, the National Rock Vaulting Championships have created a great deal of interest. Teams from around Australia competing. Total prize money for the event, which is now in its 7th year, is almost Will continue tomorrow with current title holders Mayana Colliery firm favourites. And if you'd like to experience a unique view of this year's fair, local helicopter charter company Helicruise is running scenic flights. As well, there's plenty of information on the latest in products from computers to sewing machines, air conditioning, tractors and even chainsaws. Another feature of the fair is displays from local tourist associations in the region. And for the children, while there are plenty of rides, and a chance for the whole family to have a sing-along.
They know me round the country as Glass Jack from Thundergine.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
The new 4-bed ward was officially opened today by the Vice-Chancellor of Newcastle University, Professor Keith Morgan. The unit is a welcomed addition to Lingard's operations and has been named in honour of the hospital's chairman of the Board of Advice, Professor Cyril Rennick.
We're integrating further into the public hospital system because we're working closely with Royal Newcastle Hospital in this regard, and it means we add something extra to the patient care available in this area which Lingard services.
So it's not really in competition with the public sector, you're collaborating fairly closely, are you?
There's no way to go in any part of public health and medicine other than by collaboration, because if we go into competition then the system can only be worse off.
Now what sort of dimension does the ICU unit here add to the private health sector in the community?
Well, it means that we have the highest quality services available now, particularly to people undergoing surgical care in this hospital, so that in the event of their requiring the intensive framework care, which is above and beyond the normal care, it can be provided here.
Lakes United, without captain coach Peter Walsh, were too good for Curry, winning 22 points to 6. Lakes led 12-0 at the break and simply went on with it after returning for the second 40 minutes in very warm conditions. Second row forward Colin Mathias, back after a long-term injury, captained the team and scored one of its tries. 4 matches will be played tomorrow with the South Macquarie game, one of the most interesting. North will play Waratah at Dangle Park, taking it to the streets. Maitland at home to Western Suburbs, and Central clash with Cessnock at Charlestown.
When play began at the number 1 sports ground this morning, it was clear Belmont was eager to complete its 3rd successive win in the district premiership. But the students were far from willing to concede anything on a pitch which favoured the batsmen. Uni won the toss and batted. David Johnson top scored with 72, an innings which included 8 fours and a 6. Best for Belmont was Ian Hook, who took 4 for 45 off 17.3 overs. He was well backed up by Harold Geo, who took 3 for 46 off 13. After 80 overs, Uni was all out for 242. The match continues tomorrow at 12 noon, with Belmont taking the crease. At the number 2 sports ground today, old rivals Shortland Electricity and Tech College fought out the final of the City and Suburban Premiership. In reply to Shortland's 71 all out, the Tech College cruised to a memorable win, overtaking the Electricity men for the loss of no wickets.